us on Facebook at Daunta A. Long. Follow us on Instagram at Daunta Long. Follow us on YouTube at Daunta A. Long. Thank you for tuning in to LongTalk.
Good evening, and welcome once again to LongTalk on this wonderful Tuesday evening. Pray and trust that you've had a great day thus far, and man, what a joy it is to be with you again on this Tuesday night. I also hope that you had a wonderful Labor Day holiday weekend. Hopefully you had a chance to enjoy it. Some of you that needed much needed rest, I pray that you got the necessary rest and received the necessary enjoyment that you desired. Many others who went out and enjoyed family and friends, whether you hosted them or you went out, pray that you were responsible and safe, and that you were able to enjoy all that you had fellowship with and fun. And if you did absolutely nothing, well, then I pray that you will certainly take the time for the next opportunity that is afforded to you to get out and do something and enjoy one another. Well, as always, I pray that you are having a great day and that you are making the most of it this wonderful Tuesday, wherever you're watching this from. Thank you so much for watching. I'm always appreciative for each time that we have to have a long talk discussion, a long talk conversation, that you engage, and many of you that share and talk to us and let us know how these conversations and these dialogues are really helping you. And tonight's broadcast shall be no different. And tonight I'm just simply going to ask you, as always, if you don't mind, or if you're just watching us for the very first time, please take just a moment and connect with LongTalk. How do you do that, you may ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. Tonight, if you will, if you'll just go to Daunta Long, if you go to my Facebook page, if you're watching on Facebook, just go ahead and hit the follow button. Perhaps you'll also hit the like or the share button, if you will. If you hit that like and hit that share button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you will, hit to our Instagram page. If you'll go to our Instagram page, we would greatly appreciate you going to our Instagram page. Also, if you'll go to Twitter, we would greatly appreciate, as we continue to inundate our Twitter audience and our Twitter community with our long talk discussions. It's always a joy. It's always a privilege. And it's always just a great opportunity for on Twitter. And lastly, if you will, go to YouTube. Our YouTube audience, as we are engaging more and more, our numbers are increasing, and we are trying to get to that goal of 100 individuals that will subscribe. So if you're on YouTube tonight, please, I'm asking you, if you will, just go ahead and hit that subscription button, hit the subscribe button. And if you don't mind, lastly, just go ahead and hit that notification bell so that you can be up to date with all things Long Talk. All right. Well, again, we're glad to be back in the studio tonight and glad to have the opportunity to engage and talk with so many. Do me a favor, if you're watching, go ahead and just comment where you're watching from, as we realize our footprint is expanding. Always grateful, even today, receiving calls and text messages when it was that we began to let everybody know that Long Talk was going to commence here tonight. Many people are already anticipating and excited about tonight's conversation. So if you would, ma'am, if you would, sir, please just comment, I'm watching from this city or this state, and engage us tonight. And indeed, let us know where you're watching from. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm always happy for you that are tuning in. Well, tonight in our conversation, boy, we're in for a treat. I need you, young lady, if you would you go get your boyfriend? Young lady, would you go get your husband? Go get your brother, go get your nephew, go get your uncle, call them, let them know that we've got a conversation that's geared for men on tonight. Brothers, do me a favor, call your nephew, call your brother, call your dad. Just let every man know, the patriarch of the family. Maybe he's your grandfather, perhaps. I don't know what role that every man in your life may play. Maybe he's the neighbor, a friend, a confidant. I don't know. But tonight, engage every man that you possibly can over the next few moments. Bring them in. Tell them to come. Tune in to Long Talk tonight. We've got a conversation geared especially for men. Women, if you know any man that you are wanting to engage in conversation in the days to come, or you wish to engage them in a relationship, or however you wish to engage that man that you're interested in, please send him a text right now and say, I need you to get on to Long Talk because there is a conversation that you need to hear. And so tonight, this conversation is geared towards men, and I want every man that that can possibly connect with us tonight here on Long Talk to do so, because this conversation it has been designed especially for you. All right. Well, tonight our Long Talk guest hails from the city of Phoenix, Arizona. He is a sought out motivational speaker. He also is a multi-talented singer and musician. He's traveled the country singing and playing. And then also he is now a gospel preacher that he travels and he preaches across the country. In the meantime, he is also the CEO of the Raymond Forte Enterprises. He's known for his publication tonight that we're going to talk about and we're going to discuss, as it has made a significant impact literally all across the country as people are talking about it. And this book tonight that he has penned has made a significant impact not only in the Phoenix community, but it has traveled throughout the breadth of this country as people are reading this book. And as I had a chance to just glance over the e-copy that was sent to me, and boy, it is loaded with information that will not only challenge, but will also build up every single man that reads it. So tonight, friends, Long Talk audience, would you do me a great favor and help me welcome our special guest tonight, again, who hails from the city of Phoenix, Arizona. Help me welcome Raymond Forte. God bless you, sir. How are you tonight? Oh, my goodness. We've lost your audio. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I apologize. I was on mute.
There we go. There we go. You're good. You're good. Man, how's it going today?
It's going good. How are you?
Good, good. How's that weather in Phoenix today?
It's hot, man. It is hot. We were at 100 today, and that's one of our lower days. So it's hot out here, but it's great.
Man, hotter than hot Atlanta, huh?
Hotter than hot Atlanta, I'll tell you that. Dry heat at that.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, man, thank you for coming in out of the heat and into your space to talk to us tonight. Really appreciate you taking the time to come on Long Talk. Man, you've received a lot of traction for your book, and a lot of people are buzzing about this book. And before we get into the book tonight, Raymond, do us a favor and just let everybody know exactly who Raymond Forte is tonight.
Okay, well, my name again is Raymond Forte. I'll be 32 in a couple of weeks on the 19th. I'm a resident of Phoenix, Arizona, actually by way of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm actually born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, but I've been in Phoenix, Arizona for the past 6 years. I'm a preacher. I'm a musician. I'm also a newly author as well. And I have a son on the way. His name is going to be David Justice Solomon Gladney Forte. I love God, love people, and I'm just committed to seeing our community heal and seeing, in particularly, our Black men heal so that we can make a great impact on our communities.
Well, Raymond, I love what you just said there, as it is, you said your goal to help African American or Black men in our community, as this is a much needed resource, as we realize the men in our community need attention and deserve attention, not just the negative attention that has been given to our brothers in recent days and in recent weeks and historically, because of the brutality and the injustices that have been dealt to us. And I know that it is significant that we lift our voices to sound the alarm against the injustices. But while doing that, I think it is also beneficial for what you have done and to be a necessary resource to identify the potential that lies within us and to make sure that we recognize our potential and utilize it for the benefit, not only in our life, but in the community at large. And I'm thankful for you doing that. Raymond, there's been a lot of buzz about this book, not only there on the West Coast, but here on the East Coast as well. What are some of the reviews that you're hearing about this book?
Man, the reviews I'm hearing about this book have been phenomenal, and actually, I'm getting more reviews from women than I am getting from men. It's no knock to the men. Of course, I wrote it for them, but the reviews I'm getting have been overwhelmingly encouraging from women, who said, I got to share this with my husband. I have to share this with my son. I have to share this with, the men in my life. To the men who are saying, hey, I saw myself in this book. I felt like my voice was heard in this book. So getting those reviews have been encouraging and have been uplifting. And I, like I said, I just look forward to continue doing the work.
Wow. And so, Raymond, tonight, if you don't mind, I want to dig on in because we've got a lot to talk about.
Okay.
You penned this book entitled Maximizing Mentality.
Mentally,
excuse me. I messed that up earlier today. Maximizing mentally.
Yes,
mentally. And really what you're talking about again is the significance of the man and making sure that we are cognizant of everything that has been afforded to us, right? Talk a little bit about that, if you will.
Okay, so, we as Black men, we have been taught to build everything. We've been taught to build our muscles. We've been taught to build our bank accounts. We've been taught to build our homes. We've been taught to build some character and but mainly, I don't think we've been taught. We have lacked the necessity of building our mind and building our mental, because we have been beat down systemically so much. I don't think that we've necessarily have stressed the importance of stress the importance of the impact of our mental health. So the goal of this book was to stress the importance of why it is our mental health as men is key and critical for the upbuilding of our communities. Because if our minds are not together as a whole, then we're not together as men.
Wow. That is phenomenal. Raymond, just a couple things, notes that I took down that I want to go over with you here.
Okay.
In the book, you said, when a man understands his identity, he is a laser focused on it. And that the greatest key you can take away from any man at any age is his individuality. What do you mean by that?
So what I mean by that is that when a man knows who he is, and when a man understands who he is, and he is set on who he is, then he becomes focused on becoming what it is that he is sought out to be. So when he knows and he is set on his purpose, there's nothing that will get in the way for him. There's nothing that will get in the way of him accomplishing his purpose. And so when you take a man's identity, you really take away his purpose. When you take a man's identity, you take away the very thing that God has gifted him with, so that he can steer our world forward and steer our communities forward as well.
And I guess you're saying this because so much of our identity has been eradicated, you believe, or removed?
I think it's been. I don't necessarily. Well, not only eradicated and removed, but undiscovered. I don't think
Undiscovered.
that.
Okay.
I don't think that we. I don't think that we are allowed, oftentimes, to really discover our true identity. Because so many times we are boxed into the. We have to be boxed into the status quo about. In that sense of how much money we make, or where do we live, or what's our career field. I think that when we truly discover our purpose, we won't necessarily be so caught up on the exterior, rather, but we will build our interior so that we can, like I said, impact our communities in a positive way. Because it doesn't matter how much money you have, if you're not good on the inside, then everything on the outside is just surface level.
Yeah. Raymond, you talk about this as it relates to understanding or pinpointing. Here again, you said he's when I'm focused, I'm like a laser. My focusing on whatever my purpose is that really the greatest discovery that will ever happen in my life?
Yes. When you identify your purpose, then when you identify your purpose, then everything else, then you align yourself with that purpose. So when I understand that I have a purpose, that God has gifted me with something, then I must align. Then if I'm laser focused on it, then everything I do is aligned with the purpose that got, like, for example, I mentioned in my book, Kobe Bryant. He knew his purpose from an early age. He knew that when he was 6, he discovered his love for basketball. Okay. And so he was so laser focused on his gift, on his purpose, that he was able to not only impact basketball, but he was able to impact culture. He was able to impact how Black boys see themselves. So not only, so when you discover your purpose, you're not just benefiting you're benefiting the people around you so that they can discover their purpose, dig deep and discover their purpose as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
If you're joining us tonight, we're on with Raymond Forte, talking about his new release, Maximizing Mentally. I want to make sure I get that right this time. And again, you're talking that we have to understand focus. Focus meaning that when we discover what it is, that the passion that's within us, then we don't change it. Then we don't try to get somebody else to do it for us. Right. We don't emulate, we don't emulate. Well, and I say we don't emulate, but in instance, we're inspired rather than envious of somebody else's gift. When we discover our purpose, we then become so focused on bettering ourselves so that we can, like I said, push our communities and push the people around us forward. And you said that the greatest key, the greatest takeaway from any man is, at any age, is his individuality. But I'll ask it this way. I've already found who I am because I saw what my daddy did. I want to be, you don't even have to really know my name. I just be cool if I can live up under my father's legacy. And that's not how God intended it. He didn't. But my daddy was successful, Raymond. My daddy was very successful. Why can't I just live up under his legacy? Success? How do you define success? He started with nothing, and he built $1 million home. Did he find his purpose? We got a brand, right? We got a family business. Did he find his purpose? He found his purpose. So I mean, I'm cool with just moving in where he left off at. No, that's not how God intended it. Why? Because he created you in your own unique way for your own unique assignment. It is in my personal opinion a disrespect to God to
to live up under, to your example, while he may appreciate his father's legacy, it's this disrespect to God, in my opinion, to not discover who God has called you to, who has God called you to be, but to live up under what your dad built instead of just building and discovering what God has put in you.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Man, Raymond, I want to pick that up, but we got to go pay a bill real quick. We got to go pay a bill real quick. Listen,
Okay.
we'll be right back in just a few seconds.
You're sitting at the light again, late for work, with 101 different things going through your mind. Things like texting your coworker or listening to the morning drive time. When suddenly you're startled from a loud sustained hug from the rear, you're embarrassed. The light has turned green, and it's time for you to go. Introducing the road trip. Life is a trip, so read the signs. By Dr. Joel Trout. Stop, yield, go. Construction zone ahead. It's amazing that we have less accidents when the signs in of themselves have no power to enforce. Yet they inform, guide, direct, and warn us of the potential dangers ahead. This ebook encourages you to apply a deeper meaning to the spiritual context of these ambiguous signs, so we can safely navigate through this thing called life and arrive at our destination in one piece. The Road Trip. Life's a trip, so read the signs. By Dr. Joel Trout. Order your copy today.
We're back here on LongTalk, discussing just a real hot topic, and that is, boy, you said it best earlier, the mental wellness of men. The mental wellness. And right before the break, I was telling you, I really didn't care about, my name and what I had to do. I'm just gonna pick up where my daddy left. And you said,
I'm sorry to interrupt. Let me share something on that.
Sure.
So I saw a clip of Steve Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
And you may have seen the clip. And he talks about a story with his friend going to see his dying grandmother. He went to go with his friend to see his friend's dying grandmother because his friend wanted him to join him. Mm-hmm. So they go visit his grandmother. His grandmother asked her grandson, while Steve was there, she asked him, she said, "Son, do you know your great-grandfather's name?" He said, "No, I don't know his name." He said, "You know why? Because he didn't leave you anything." And so for me, the greatest success for me with now with me having a son on the way, mm-hmm. is what am I leaving him? Is what am I leaving him? And I want him I want to be able to operate in my purpose so much that he will never, ever, ever, ever forget my name.
Wow.
And we ought to be working towards our purpose so much, fathers and sons and grandsons and great-grandsons. We ought to be leaving behind so much in our purpose. We ought to be doing so much work in our purpose that we ought to be working on our purpose so much that what we leave behind, our sons, our grandsons, should never, ever, ever forget our name.
Never
Am I
forget
making
our
sense?
name.
Am I making sense?
Absolutely. But on the flip of that, you're saying, though, as that son, I cannot just lose my identity because my dad did a phenomenal job. I've got to take that wonderful impartation that he placed in my life, and it will calibrate me. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Why was the problem with the prodigal son? He didn't have his identity. He was living off of his dad's means, which was equal to his death. So the prodigal son takes the inheritance, right? Goes out, does what he does, misuses it, mishandles it. His dad is successful, right?
Right.
Dad's successful, leaves him an inheritance. He goes out, spends it all, and what happens? Now he's in a pig pen.
He's in a pig pen by himself.
Practicing his apology. And I really believe that had had to do with the lack of identity.
I'm glad you brought up that story about the prodigal son and the pig pen. I love what the Bible says that he came to himself, and that leads me to something else you wrote in the book. You said that the greatest moments are made when it seems as if we are in isolation.
Yes.
But it is, in essence, a setup for the big stage for God can present to us the vessel of a man who will bring the world into its proper place. What do you mean by that?
So when you're in isolate, I really believe, well, let me first say this. No man, I don't care who you are, wants to be isolated. No man wants to be alone. No man wants to even feel alone. No man wants to even have the feeling or the idea that he is alone.
Yeah.
But when God sets us apart, or when he forces us to be alone or in isolation, that is a time for when nobody else is around, when you don't have any distractions, when you don't have anything in your view. That is the time when when you can really sit down with yourself and you can really discover who you are in isolation, because you cannot do it with everybody around. You have to do it when God has to put you in a place by yourself, so that you can really hear him, be really clear, and be really set on what it is that he's saying.
Yeah. And you later go on to say that God uses isolation for our good. Why would you say that?
He uses isolation for our good, so that again so that all of the noise can be cluttered out, so that all of the noise can shut out, so that all of our fans could be shut out, and we can focus and set our minds on what it is that what it is, so that we can set our minds on who we are, what it is that God has called us to do, and how did we get to that point, and how we can move forward.
Do you think most of our confusion comes because we have not had moments of isolation?
Yes, I think every man needs to set a certain time to be alone. Even Jesus had to do it. Even Jesus had to do it on many occasions after his miracles. So when you set a certain time to be alone and to really center yourself, then you'll be able to rediscover your values, discover your foundations, discover your truth. Because when I got in isolation, I realized a lot of my stuff was off. And so I really needed to center myself and to really find out what it is that God wanted to do in me while in isolation, so that when he presented me to the world again, I would be more ready and prepared, have more wisdom, be stronger, be wiser, and be better, so that I can be effective for the kingdom, and for the people around me as well.
Wow. That isolation piece, right? I think well, you hit the nail on the head when you talked about isolation, because the noise of life really pollutes most of our purpose, right? And I know that some of the greatest illuminations that I had 10 and 15 and even now 20 years ago are still have provided the framework for the success, or the proverbial success, that I think that I have. But man, I'll never forget riding in a church van on a rainy Monday morning by myself, picking up bread from one of the local retailers to bring back to the food pantry. Is when God gave me the idea for the company now that I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars with. And it wasn't because anybody placed anything. I really believe it was because that Monday morning, when it was raining, I wanted to stay in my bed at my college dormitory. But I believe God wanted me to get up and be on that van by myself, so that he could talk to me and tell me, Raymond, boy, you are so accurate with that. I always accredit the success of my life, again, because I believe that God speaks to us when we're alone and when he can get us to ourselves, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep, and when he gets us alone, we're able to see the good, bad, and the ugly of ourselves.
Ooh.
It wasn't really until I got alone I was really able to see the parts of me that I really didn't like. You know what I'm saying? Able to see the parts of me that could have been detrimental to others. And the parts of me that I know I needed to fix. And so isolation really exposes you to you. And sometimes, and that's why a lot of people don't like it, because it forces us to look at ourselves. Yeah. And so, what is your response to isolation? Is now the question.
when I see the ugliness of myself, and really, Raymond, this is a critical point. I want to move on, but I really sense that we need to talk about this. A lot of times when some of us see the ugliness of ourselves, it really causes us to resent ourselves, moves us to hatred for ourselves, and ultimately disdain, which then leads to terrible things.
Mm-hmm.
How critical is that decision in isolation, do you believe?
The decision to...
Of whatever ugliness God shows you or shows me.
It's very critical, because if you don't deal with the ugliness, then you will continue to plague everybody that's around you. If you don't deal with the ugliness, it will come out, and it will come out in ways where you didn't expect it. Where it'll come out when the pressure's on. It'll come out in situations. So it's very key. You have to deal with the ugliness. I didn't deal with my ugliness, and it cost me my marriage. And so when I was able to see, and God was able to really sit me down, because I was all over the place. But when I was able to really when life came to a halt, and I was able to see, it broke me.
Raymond, did you hear what you just said? You said my ugliness cost me my marriage?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because I was, listen.
It was her fault, Raymond.
Huh?
It was her fault.
No.
You're the multi-talented musician and singer and preacher. It had to be her fault.
That had character that was jacked up. Wasn't worth a nickel, worth a dog meat. Lying, cheating, being adulterous, all that. I had no type of character whatsoever. And so when God had to deal with me in my ugliness, and when everything came to a halt, and He showed me that, it broke me, because I knew that my ugliness was plaguing the people around me.
Raymond, and when when He showed it to you, what if you don't mind, because we're having a long talk, and
we're here.
Oh my God, listen. What was your response? How
I cried like a baby.
You cried.
I cried, boo-hoo cried, because I'm like, how can I, who said I love, who a man of God, who's a preacher, who's a musician, who knows how to lead worship, say I love God, but yet cause the same plague that my father caused. Continuing the plague of, the typical cheating preacher, the typical cheating musician, the typical cheating, gifted guy. When I realized that I was continuing that, it broke me. And then I began to, then Psalm 51, creating me a clean heart, renew a right spirit within me.
Raymond, you recognize that this was the tendency of your father?
It wasn't the tendency of my father. It was the effect of him. Let me say, and I say it like this, because I've never seen him cheat.
Okay.
But I've seen him be abusive. You see what I'm saying? So I was so the effect of his abuse, was affected me, and so therefore I was emotionally abusive. You know what I mean? With my ex, cheating and lying and all of that. That's because that's abuse. That's emotional abuse.
Sure.
So I would say I wouldn't. So I would say the effect, if I'm making sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Raymond, this is so good right now. You are blessing so many people. Comments are coming in about how this is helping. And I just want to say, if this long talk is really helping somebody tonight, this is a shameless plug, but this type of dialogue is what has stimulated. Well, I said like this. This dialogue has been stimulated by what's inside of this book, Maximizing Mentally, where Raymond just continues to pour out time and time again in this book about how our mental wellness as men, how it stabilizes us for sobriety and making or understanding our purpose and understanding what we're supposed to be doing, where we're supposed to be, who we're supposed to be with, and all of these things he spells out in this book, Maximizing Mentally. So tonight, quickly, while this conversation is going, if you realize that this type of dialogue that we're having tonight is really helping you and helping whatever man that you're watching, there are at least 5 to 10 other men that are not privy to being on this conversation tonight, that if you would just quickly go to Amazon and type in Maximizing Mentally, and when this book pops up, go ahead and get a copy of it and share it. Perhaps there's somebody, there may be a pastor even that's watching me. This is your curriculum for the next quarter for your men's group, because I believe as you read this, as I've just skimmed through it, but I'm going to go back and read even more of it. You just continue to pour out the wisdom of having gone through life not being mentally stable or mentally well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how you are just continuing even in this conversation to just talk about why it is that all men need to be honest, need to be responsible, need to always not blame others, but make sure that we maximize. And I love that word maximize, meaning taking full advantage. Man, and the type of courage it took for you to say what you just said a moment ago really displays the type of character that's needed in today's culture.
Wow. Bless you. Thank you. To God be the glory, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I want to go on to other things that you said in this book that I know that really that can really help somebody. You talk about men who are too broken and too embarrassed to say what or who hurt them. We often are told not to express when we as men are hurt or when we take a hit. You later say we're always told to suck it up, dry your tears up. How is it that we can change this philosophy so that when we are hurt by what has happened, if it is a failed marriage, if it is a missed opportunity with a child, or if it is a business that blew up in your face, or whatever failure you've experienced or you're embarrassed by, your bad attitude, your mouth that tears others down, right? When I finally realized it was me all the while, and I'm crying, why am I told to suck up those tears? Or, man, just don't even worry about it. How do we advocate for that momentum in life to make sure that we don't repeat the cycles of being hurt and just moving on without addressing it?
I think a lot of it is I think the foundation is that we're not allowed to fail. As men, we're not allowed to fail, and I think that's somewhat of a societal rule. So when we fail, it's embarrassing, and then furthermore, it's even more embarrassing to have to say you fail, and you even have to discover you is even more embarrassing to say why you fail and to be honest about it. So going to the point of, we're sometimes embarrassed and too afraid to say what or who hurt us. We are afraid to oftentimes say who or what hurt us. But I didn't even mention this in the book. How we got hurt, we're not always have the courage to admit. So we have to start with acknowledging the failure, acknowledging where you messed up. Yes, I didn't cross all my I's. I wasn't all the way focused. When you acknowledge where you failed and your part in the failure, I think that's when healing can begin. And you can be able to say, you know what, I did this time. Insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So let me try something different this time. Let me try something new. Let me try something. Because when you turn a different direction, then that's when your life begins to go into a different direction as well.
Raymond, I gotta be honest. So many times I've been told, man, ain't nobody even gonna notice. Just keep going. Don't worry about it. Nobody's gonna notice where you messed up. Just keep going. Keep going. Stay in the game. Keep going. Keep going.
Okay. So
man, do you know the loss you'll take as a pastor, Daunta Long, as a preacher, Raymond Forte, if you come out and say you wrong? What's wrong with you, Raymond? You trying to mess up everything you work for? So there's
a player by the name of Kevin Durant. Okay, to your point.
KD, yeah.
KD, you know about KD, right? Yeah. So KD experienced an injury last year while he was with the Golden State Warriors.
How we remember.
In the semis, right? You remember the semis?
Yeah.
When he hurt his calf against the Rockets. Game 5. Doctors told him, hey, you may want to sit this one out. You may want to wait until the remainder of the season. No. Media, everybody's pressuring him. Everybody's pushing him to play. He's not healed. Mm-hmm. But everybody's pushing him to play. He's not his calf is fully developed. The doctor said it's more serious than it looks. Yeah. But they still push him to play. Mm-hmm. So he goes and he plays, I want to say game 3 or 4 of the NBA Finals.
Correct.
Right? Lifts his team in the first quarter. Second quarter gets here. Driving to the lane. Defended by Ibaka. Re-injures that same calf. Now he can't even play with his new team, the Brooklyn Nets, in the bubble. So what's my point? If he would have just sat down somewhere and let that injury heal, they would have had a better shot in winning the championship this year because he would have been playing. And when you don't take the time to acknowledge the injury or to acknowledge what has healed you, you will miss out. Not only you'll miss out on what God wants to do for you now, but then that'll further affect your future as well.
I know you're right, but still, nobody's ever gonna notice, Raymond. Why bother talking about what,
Are you so you're saying you're willing to let yourself die? You're willing to die on the inside because you think nobody's gonna notice?
Because I cannot afford to lose or the fallout of my era.
So what's more expensive? Covering it up or just exposing it? Because the more you cover it up or the more you don't want to acknowledge it, the worse it gets. Healing comes in exposure. You can't heal it if you don't expose it.
That's tough, Raymond, because the potential of people laughing, my enemies taking advantage of me, the money that may be left on the table, whatever it is, man.
What's more expensive, staying unhealed or actually healing? Because when you remain unhealed, remaining unhealed is more expensive than actually getting healing. Because when you remain unhealed, you still continue to harm those around you because they did nothing to you. So not getting healed is much, you lose much more in the long run not getting healed, as opposed to saying, you know what, let me drop all of this, let me set all of this down because I need to turn a different direction.
I guess it is in my best interest to just come to grips with where I messed up at, right?
It's necessary to come to grips so that you can start forgiving you. That's the first person you have to forgive is you. Because if you don't forgive you, then healing can't begin if you don't forgive yourself first. And when you forgive yourself, you free yourself. And when you free yourself, you want others to be free. I've never seen anybody who's locked up want to see. I've never seen a person who's miserable want to see other people happy. When you heal, you want to see others heal, and you want to see others free.
Yeah, the old adage, hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people.
Yeah.
And hurt, and let me say this, hurt is not right or wrong, it's real.
That's powerful, because most times people associate hurt with some type of guilt. I did something to deserve to be hurt. Well,
or I have the right to hurt them.
Yeah, and you think about it domestically. A tendency that you'll see a lot of times in domestic is that many women will say things like, "Well, I did raise my voice at him," or "I did, I did something."
When hurt people, when hurt is because it's a result of past hurt, and you can't get away from past. You can't get from past hurt if you don't first make it a priority to heal. And you have to heal for you.
So tonight, I guess what you're really saying is for me to maximize my mental wellness, I just need to admit that I'm hurt. I'm wounded, right?
Admit it, yes. Acknowledge it.
Raymond, I've been walking around so long, faking it till I make it.
God's not going to bless it. God's not going to bless a you that you don't like.
Raymond, I've grown accustomed to dealing with my insufficiencies. I make excuses for it. You know how Long is. Mm-hmm. You know how Forte is. You know how he is. You know how he is, right?
Right. So you decided to live in it, but not be free from it. Being free is a decision.
But tonight, if I simply just say I'm hurt, I'm on the road to mental. That's
the beginning. You can acknowledge the hurt, but then you have to do the necessary work to get to mental wellness.
But Raymond, I'm tired. I've been hurt so long, I'm tired.
And it's okay to be tired, but it's even better to be healed. It's okay to be tired, but it's even better to be healed.
I want to be healed, Raymond. I think when I say I want to be healed, I must admit that I'm tired of the way that I am, right? Is there any shame in me admitting that I'm tired of the way that I am?
No, I think it's actually mature. It's actually mature to recognize your ways, and to be tired. You have to be tired of your own ways, I was tired. Listen, I got to a point. I was tired of keeping up with a facade. I was tired of lying. I was tired of trying to keep up with lies. I was tired of my own stuff. And when you want to be free, you got to be tired of your own stuff. You got to say, you know what? I'm tired of my own stuff. I know I'm better than this.
I'm better than this.
Mm-hmm. When the prodigal son was in the pig pen, he was like, wait a minute. I have. Man, he's like, wait, what's going on? Because he.
Raymond, I got to stop right here. I need to challenge those that are watching on Facebook, those that are watching on YouTube, as your daily affirmation. I need you to type in the comments right now, I'm better than this. No matter, Raymond, there's some people watching us from all walks of life, going through all types of challenges, facing all type of obstacles, having been through fires, floods, divorces, domestic abuse, family turmoil, and somebody tonight feels guilty that they went through it, right? But what you're saying is they don't have to be embarrassed by it. All they got to do is say, I'm better than this. Come on. I need everybody who's watching this tonight. Type it in the comments. I'm better than this. That is so liberating. Man, that is so liberating, Raymond.
It is. It is when you know.
I know we get on social media and say stuff like my auntie better than yours, right? But what I'm saying is, I'm not trying to say anybody's better. All I'm saying tonight, Raymond, I'm better than this, right?
You're better than this. I'm better than this.
I'm better than this.
Yeah. Wow.
My God. Raymond, and boy, I'm telling you, this book, Maximizing Mentally, is reshaping, recalibrating.
My God.
I feel so much better tonight because now I can go back and just tell everybody who I hurt it was my fault. Everybody that I overlooked, no, you should have spoke up for yourself. No, I'm sorry, I overlooked you.
Wow.
And for everything that, and I love what the Bible says, that we offend many knowingly and unknowingly. And then for so many of us, this is something that I teach. So many of us will always say, Raymond, I'm not apologizing because I didn't do anything wrong. You ever heard that one before?
Man, if I had $1 for every time I heard that, I buy us Big Mac meals.
Oh man! Matter of fact, Raymond, we could go to Ruth Chris and both eat steaks.
I like Ruth Chris.
Yeah, we can go to any steakhouse. Hey, matter of fact, I'll fly you in first class from Phoenix. And buy you a steak dinner. Would you care for an order of lobster as well, right?
You're right.
Because, I mean, so many of us refuse to take responsibility. And you're saying that this is compromising our mental health?
Yes, when we refuse to take responsibility for our part. When we refuse to take responsibility, we're in essence lying to ourselves, saying that I have no part in your. When we take responsibility, we free ourselves and we free those whom we may have possibly hurt.
Raymond, I go to my grave over my dead body. Haven't you heard that one as well?
Oh, I heard that one, and that's between you and the Lord. But my response to that, going to your grave, is that you will die still a caged man. You'll still die unfree. How free could you have been if you have just been before the Lord calls you home? what could you have done had you just had that moment to say, you know what, let me free myself from this? Because when you free yourself from it, then you'll be able to impact you. When you free yourself from it, you'll be able to free others from whatever it is that they may be feeling shame and guilt about. When they may be embarrassed about. We are overcome by the word of the Lamb, by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of our testimony. Mm-hmm. The word of our testimony. The word of our testimony. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. And the Bible even says this: if you don't forgive others, if you don't apologize, how am I going? He's going to look at God's going. He's going to look at us with the same attitude.
Raymond, I'm telling you now, and I'm going to get in trouble, and it's all right. Go ahead, all religious leaders who are watching this. Go ahead, get your pen, because I know you're going to start with the hate mail, and you're going to tell me how wrong I am, and some of you are going to put me in your hell as well. I'm only convinced of one sin, besides what the Bible says, blaspheming against the existence and the purpose and the functionality of the work of the Holy Spirit. But I'm also convinced there's one other sin that will keep you eternally separated from God, and that is unforgiveness in your heart.
Yes.
Some are going to say it's suicide. Some are going to say if it's murder or rape, all of the terrible things of our lives. But I believe the grace of God, as the Bible says, that love covers a multitude of faults, and all of that great attribute of God's grace that so many of us love to teach and preach about. And I believe it wholeheartedly. I stand in agreement with all of that. But where I really do pitch my tent is that at the fact of, while I enjoy the grace of God, and I won't forgive Raymond for what he did to me 13 years ago, even though I told Raymond to kick rocks with ashy feet, but Raymond should have never raised his voice at me. And 13 years later, I'm still not talking to him. And we call ourselves men of God. Aren't we better than this, Raymond?
We're better than that.
And I want to help somebody on this last piece, Raymond. You was wrong and I was right, or vice versa. And then, Raymond, what I've come to realize, does it really matter at the given point, or are we better than this whole thing about who was right or wrong 13 years ago?
We're better than that. No matter who. We're better than that. We have to, because there's people that I have done wrong, and I had to go and forgive them. I mean, they had to forgive me. So why can't I forgive them? I had to be forgiven. So why can't I forgive them?
Yeah.
And so like you said, when we die with unforgiveness, or when we die with something unsettled, I think we die still in prison, not wondering what could have been, how free we could have been, how we just dealt with that issue or dealt with that unforgiveness.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we don't maximize. Mm-hmm. We just settle, right?
Right.
Raymond,
yeah.
Here's another one. I don't never have to speak to you again, Doc. I'm good. How many times have you heard that one?
Come on. I've heard that one a lot.
Hey, man, Raymond doing some great stuff out there in Phoenix. And then I say something like, I don't rock with him like that. We don't really mess with him. Why? Man, back in 98, man, he know what he did.
Can't even remember.
He know what he did. Right. Boy, I'm not even going to go down that road. And I'm gonna run out of gas if I go down that road. For the many times I've been in conversations and I'm trying to ask for forgiveness, and the person yelling out, "But you know what you did." I want to just be able to take responsibility.
And say, I apologize for this, and specifically say what I'm apologizing. I am apologizing because I did this. Be able to articulate it, communicate it, and be.
No, Raymond, I'm just gonna apologize for everything I did wrong.
No,
I ain't finna tell you everything I did wrong. You don't need to know all that, Raymond.
You need to acknowledge the alt that your brother has with you. Acknowledging the alt frees you, and it frees your brother.
Raymond, I don't want to do that. I'm not. Okay, here's another one. I'm not going through all of that. I ain't never got to talk to you again, man. Matter of fact, get off my show. You know.
It's still unforgiveness. I ain't got to talk to you. It's still unforgiveness. It's still unforgiveness.
Here's another one. You can call it what you want to. You know what you did, Raymond. You know what you did.
Some people choose to stay, and some people choose to stay in that place. You know why? Because it's safe there.
It's safe.
It's safe in staying in unforgiveness. It's comfortable being the victim. It's comfortable sitting in being the victim. So let me say the victim, because then it relieves me from taking the responsibility or taking responsibility for the part I may have played. Because in forgiveness, it may not always be one person. You follow me? And if there's a situation, both parties may have been wrong in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But one may feel more right than the other. Even still, being comfortable in the victim seat alleviates others from taking that responsibility. First thing I don't do whenever there's I don't take the victim seat. What role did I have to look back and say, what role did I play in this? What do I need to apologize for?
Yeah. Raymond, this conversation, I don't know if it's helped anybody else. But man, I feel like I'm starting to maximize.
Wow.
Even my thoughts, my actions, just off this long talk tonight.
Wow.
You have really helped me because, again, I ain't do nothing. It was them. It was him. It was her. But tonight, if just give me a little time after the show, I'm gonna go in the corner. I'm gonna cry a little bit. But you're telling me that's necessary.
Yes.
I need some alone time.
Yes.
I want to tell somebody tonight that's watching. You need to take a few minutes. Number one, go to Amazon and search out Maximizing Mentally. Or if you're on Facebook, go to Maximizing Mentally. All right? After you get the book, after you order it, take the necessary time, I believe, to read it in its entirety. Raymond, I admit again, time was against me. I didn't get a chance to read the entire book. I'm going to take the time to read the entire book because I believe what you're saying is going to really enable me to maximize every relationship that's been afforded to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And recognize the error of my own ways.
Mm.
And that's something that I've struggled with for a long time. Because
Wow.
like you said, it's convenient just to say you know what you did.
Wow.
But never having to recognize what I've done. So
Wow.
tonight, if you're like me or you're saying you're still convinced that you did nothing, I really need you to pick up a copy of this book because I think the more that you read it, It'll begin to just really help you discover, unpack some of those layers. Maybe you'll cry a little bit. Maybe you'll get your highlighter and circle some things. I don't know what your course of action will be, but tonight I need you to go to Amazon or to go to Facebook and type in Maximizing Mentally. Pick up a copy. You can purchase it there on Facebook. You can purchase it on Amazon. Pick up a copy today because I really believe it's going to be a blessing to your life. Raymond, what do you want to share with our audience before you leave us tonight?
First, thank you so much for allowing me to come on and talk about my book, and we have this conversation. Thank you again. And I just speak blessings over you all, and I pray that we continue to go on the journey of healing so that we can, again, impact our communities in a positive way, impact the next generation, because we're really not just living for us, we're really living so that the next generation can continue on what we've left them. So thank you again, and let's continue to impact our communities positively.
Thank you so much, Raymond. We really appreciate you taking the time there in hot Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes, sir.
Come in out of that hot weather and really talk to us here on Long Talk tonight. You have been a significant blessing, not only to our Long Talk audience, but really even to me personally. Because I really appreciate the authentic approach as we move aside our titles, our giftings, our skill sets that are so beneficial to our lives and to the lives of others. But tonight you said we got to put all that aside and have some me time. And,
yes, sir.
I think that's in my life, that's the greatest conversation.
Wow.
That individuals can have. The real Long Talk, I dare to say this, the real Long Talk only begins here at this platform, but I believe the authentic Long Talk is what many will have replaying this broadcast or perhaps driving tomorrow morning and recapitulating over some of the mistakes that they've made, some of the failed opportunities that they blew, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, what a long talk tonight, Raymond. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Stay on with us. We're going to be back in just a few minutes. Friends, tonight has been a conversation for the books. This Long Talk has really been a blessing to my life personally. As I said just a few moments ago, I truly believe that maximizing our mentality, whether you're a man, I believe it starts with men. And then if you are one that are just, you know men, you're around men all the time, you're a woman, you're married to a man, you're a woman, you got a brother, you're a woman, you got a nephew, you're an aunt to a young man. I really believe that helping us discover our purpose, not babying us, but not pacifying us, not ignoring us, but making sure that you connect with us to help us discover our purpose, or leading us onto the road for us to discover our own purpose, is the most beneficial thing for any man playing any role in your life. So tonight, I'm just saying to you in our Long Talk discussion, make sure that you lead every man that you can to that place that they can isolate. I know you got a lot to say. You got a lot to get off your chest. You got to tell him about himself. You got to tell him what he did wrong. You got to make sure that he hears you. You got to make sure that he does exactly what you told him to do. You got to make sure that he's on time. I know all of that's important. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not trying to minimize it. But I think that you need to lead that man to a place that he can be by himself, that he can just get in the environment where he can receive the necessary encouragement that is given by God in our times of isolation. And that will ultimately be the greatest conversation that he needs, that will help him discover his purpose and ultimately be what God's called him to be. Man, I'm talking to you tonight. I believe in you. Listen, I'm your brother. For many that call me pastor, many call me community leader, many call me motivational speaker, business owner, business partner. 3 little boys call me dad. A couple of young men call me uncle. And one of the greatest things that I believe is that when I have been positioned to help those men become the best men that they can be, then I believe I've lived my life to the fullest. And so, man, I challenge you. As I said moments ago, I believe in you. I see your potential. Oh, my God, you're going to do some great things. You needed to tune into this LongTalk for you to see that every man needs encouragement. And I'm here to encourage you, bruh. You can do it. Doc, it's going to be all right. You're going to make it. This LongTalk tonight was designed to let you know everything's going to be okay. All right? All right. Well, listen, again, I pray that this has been a blessing. But listen, Thursday night, come back and be a part of this conversation on Thursday. Boy, we've got a treat for you this Thursday night. You don't want to miss our guest. Oh, Dr. Timothy Boone is going to be with us. Boy, this is going to be something phenomenal as he's going to come and he's going to be a blessing. I want you just to join us Thursday evening, 7:30 p.m. right here with our special guest, Dr. Timothy C. Boone. He's got a brand new book that's actually going to drop on Thursday. And he said, Daunta Long, before it drops, I'm coming to talk about it on LongTalk. I'm honored. So join us Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another LongTalk. Listen, we got to get out of here. But again, we thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Join us again on Thursday for another LongTalk. We love you and take care.
Follow us on Facebook at Daunta Long. Follow us on Instagram at Daunta Long. Follow us on YouTube at Daunta Long. Thank you for tuning in to LongTalk.